So, City of Los Angeles. My tax dollars at work, let's make this happen. All right. Okay, right now, looking at everything, how many open requisitions do you have?
For police?
Police, fire, across the board, how many are you responsible for?
300.
Wow. 300 open recs, that's a lot of that. Of those 300 recs, which is the biggest, which is the hardest to fill, or the highest value? Only one rec. Okay, that's much easier than with 300 openings. Like I've done 60 before, that was hard. Okay, 300 of the same job. Tell me about that.
It is a job that even just to get it, it takes a lot of it.
Okay, lots of food. And what is the title? Police officer. So we are looking for a police officer for the City of Los Angeles. This is a good one, by the way. Tell me about what your ideal candidate looks like.
24 to 35.
Okay, it's 24 to 35. Now, do you put that in your job ads? There goes the whole compliance portion of this, by the way, people. Okay, 25 to 35. What does that work experience look like?
It can be a work experience, long consistency of work experience, preferably with increasing responsibility, promotion forward, advancement, good attendance, good reputation of the workplace. Some college, not necessarily for you, but
Okay. Can I get you on the board so I can look at you? No. I'm terrible at blocking, so I'm sorry. So some college, lots of responsibility and a good reputation, right?
background things, don't know, not a lot of contact with negative contact.
Okay, so clean record. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay, good. Now, when you say some work experience, what industries are the most preferable or indicate that they're going to be the most successful from a background?
Honestly, it could be a wide range, which is one of my biggest challenges.
Okay, so pretty wide range. There's no type necessarily. You can't look on paper and know. Okay, good. So, just out of curiosity, or I guess I can pull this up myself. That's why I have the computer. What's your career site? The LAPD, your career site? It's a good one. Okay. Wait for my computer. It's not responding. It's like a candidate. We'll wait on that. So I'm like a weatherman here, so this is the only access I have to monitor. And I was like a hiring manager, it's not responding again when I really need it to. Okay. We'll keep this going while I wait for that. But anyway, so essentially the information that I've collected here. Now, this is all the information that goes into a job posting, correct? And so what's your biggest talent challenge is almost always going to be answered in a sense of years of responsibility, what the previous experience looks like, soft skills, as well as everything else. Now that is not unique, obviously, to the Los Angeles Police Department or the public sector. The foundation for every single job search should be, if done properly and according to compliance, is going to start off with that job description. That's your basic working document, just like once that job description goes live, as much as we like social media, if you have an applicant tracking system or Lotus Notes even, your basic unit is resume, right? So the job description and the resume optimally have to align. They don't always, and they don't have to. And that's where social media comes in. So we have this background. And here's the question that you need to ask when you're setting up a strategy. So here's your posting, which most people start off with. I know in my experience, the job posting had already been approved by HR and the hiring manager, the HR business partner, comp, and benefits before I even saw it. So I didn't necessarily get a lot of input in that, but if you can, what I would really suggest doing is waiting on that job description until you've finished all of these with your hiring manager, and you're gonna see why in a second. So far, I'm assuming you've successfully recruited police officers. I see them on my street frequently.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what's worked best for you in recruiting those officers?
I would say a combination of the website and the actual physical recruiters having contact with potential candidates.
So in real life, and those physical recruiters, do they have set offices? Do you go to career fairs? Is it a combination?
Exactly. We have in-house events. We have our own open houses and recruiting events, as well as sending officers out to area job fairs and community events.
So we're getting them in real life, community events, job fairs, all that, and then we are also getting them from the career site. How many hits does your career site get in an average month? Sure. So thousands. Okay. So thousands are going to tens of thousands. Wow. Okay, so tens of thousands. So it sounds like you don't have an applicant flow problem necessarily, correct?
You know, from a diversity perspective, sometimes though we do get some people, not necessarily the right people, but some people.
So diversity is the challenge as well. Okay. And that's a big challenge for a lot of companies, obviously, and that's something that you get really kind of dicey into social media, particularly looking at the military's guides there. If you're in OFCCP, one thing that I would definitely caution is, particularly from a sourcing perspective, and if you do work for a governmental organization, social media, there's a lot of unwritten territory, and you do not want to be the test or precedent case with the Office of Federal Contractor Compliance. I'm telling you that right now. So what I would definitely urge you to look at, having said that, unless you want to take every tweet, every LinkedIn resume, every LinkedIn profile, and cut and paste those into your applicant tracking system to disposition those the same, I would definitely encourage you to look at it as an engagement and an employment branding vehicle. I would not look at it as a sourcing tool. And the reason is this: have you ever seen Twitter? Have you ever seen Facebook? I mean, you're saying that you're getting tens of thousands of hits to your career site, which means that they're warm leads every month, and you're still having trouble filling that same core position. Now, targeting those people then via social media, pretty hard. But once you have them, that's where it comes in to engage them. But, so under this question, what works best for you? Of the community events, job fairs, etc., how many do you attend in the course of an average month? About 30 events. How many hires do you generally make from those 30 events from job fairs as a source of hire in a month?
That's part of the challenge, because the process is not such that I can necessarily make such a linear connection.
That's a challenge that I think we all have, right? Source of hire. And that's a very hard challenge. If anyone can figure that out, that's kind of the golden age of recruiting right now. The problem is, it's really hard to know what's working because candidates self-identify. Yep. So it's very hard to know what's working for you if you were sitting back and letting the applicant tracking system pick up source of hire. You can look at that consolidated report in Connexa, Brasser, and Taleo. At the end of the month, it's really not going to give you a great overview of what is actually working and what your ROI for methodology is, only because, again, it's self-selected. And let me tell you a little bit about what works best for you. 99% of companies are going to have a different answer to that question. And the answer is referrals. I will go ahead and confirm that those are probably the most successful source of hire. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with Career X Roads. They did a survey of the 500 largest employers. And of those companies last year, source of hire number one, referrals, 52%. Anyone want to take a guess what number two is? Job boards. So 24%, of which Monster was the largest percentage. Shameless plug. And then, anyone knows, since we obviously heard all last year about how social media is taking over HR, it's taking over recruiting, it's where you have to be to get candidates. Does anyone know what percentage of hire that was? Less than 1%. So I do think that that's going to change, but here's what I think one of the problems is. I'm going to use LinkedIn as an example here. If I contact a candidate at that point in time because I want to get a position going, so he knows me at this point in time, we're connected, right? And I lead him to get him to apply at some point in time, which is why, if you're building that connection optimally, is to not only create that relationship, but to help drive a qualified applicant. That's what's great about that one particular service. They're going to go in and they're going to select what they know an employee because they think that that's going to give them the best in. Then that becomes a referral, but it's not really. So unless you can sit there, be very proactive about targeting where these sources are coming from, social media is a scalable sourcing tool in a lot of ways, but not in and of itself, which, like I said, you have to have a job posting because social media thrives on content. And what are job postings? They're content. Right. Cool. So I want to go back to the career site. So tens of thousands every month. Do you know what percentage of those visitors start an application? It's okay. Does somebody in your department have that information?
We collect data, how that is really translated into action.
Okay. Because so what I'm hearing is that your most fertile source of hires thus far, you're not really sure how effective it is other than an absolute number, correct?
Well, I think it's because also the site.
Yeah, no, hopefully it's responding now.
But the site kind of works twofold for new people who are starting to engage in the process, as well as those who are already in the process. They can go there for information. So the number of visits might not necessarily reflect just those who are starting out the process who are new to telecom. So that makes it a little bit of a challenge. We do have a space on there for people who are looking to start the process, to take a preliminary background. So that number pretty much, I think, can most closely relate to people who are looking to start in our process.
So I'm still waiting. I apologize. The reception's not very good. It's all good. So you used a preliminary screening process. How many people take that one? So 2,000 to 5,000.